What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with what's next for Renato Moicano after UFC Paris win. UFC Paris was a platform for France's Benoit Saint-Denis, but as some observers and pundits predicted would be the case, Renato Moicano played the role of spoiler. So what's next for money now that he's won 4 straight fights? Initially, it looked like the headliner was going to be over in the first round, as Moicano quickly took Saint-Denis down and bloodied and battered him for several minutes. To Benoit's credit, he came out battling in round 2 and countered several takedown attempts, but ultimately the doctor ruled Saint-Denis could not continue after round 2, as his right eye was completely closed. Now, it'll be interesting to see what comes next for Moicano. Paddy Pimblett has called him out several times now, and after his win, albeit after a lengthy rant about politics, Moicano also called for a scrap with the baddie. Paddy Pimblett went on social media to accept the call out, saying, "Let's do this." Renato Moicano went out to send a warning to Paddy Pimblett during his post-fight press conference.
One of the people you want to fight next, and that is Paddy Pimblett, potentially on the Ultimate Fighter. What's your message to him? Now's your chance to make that fight. What would you say to him?
Don't accept the fight, or I will elbow your skull.
So given the run-ins both men have been on, and the fact that's a fight that will move views and tickets, don't be surprised if we see Moicano versus Pimblett next. Heading into this weekend, Pimblett was ranked number 15 in the UFC's lightweight division, and Moicano was number 11. Conor McGregor wants Michael Chandler to beat Charles Oliveira. It wasn't too long ago that a lot of people were questioning whether Conor McGregor truly was even interested in fighting Michael Chandler. But now that the latter's booked to fight Charles Oliveira, it seems clear that McGregor is really hoping to battle Chandler next. Chandler ultimately decided to fight Oliveira at UFC 309 November 16th, after his June fight with McGregor was cancelled after Conor broke a toe. But since the Chandler-Oliveira bout was announced, Conor's proclaimed that he wants to settle the score with his fellow tough coach. Case in point, during a recent appearance on Dual Bits, Conor reported he hopes Chandler wins November 16th.
Chandler versus Charles predictions. Chandler had him out on his feet in the first round. Charles Oliveira has a good record of recovering, very good record of recovering, and he recovered in that last fight. But Chandler has a bit more knowledge of that now. I'd love to see Chandler deal with it, to be honest. I don't have this thing with him. We have to settle this, me and the little fool of a thing. Do you know what I mean? So let's see how it goes. It is what it is, whatever is the case.
You would think that if Chandler beats DuBronx, the UFC will proceed with McGregor versus Chandler, but wouldn't fans also be buzzed to see McGregor-Oliveira? If Charles is victorious at UFC 309, do you think Conor would take that fight? Or are you at a point where you'll believe it when you see it in terms of McGregor competing in the octagon? Up next, MMA community concerned for Nick Diaz after footage releases. Nick Diaz recently buzzed the internet by releasing training footage and teasing he's getting ready to fight at UFC 310. But some folks in the MMA community are concerned with what they say in the video. Diaz was booked to face Vicente Luque at UFC 308 October 26, but due to what was reported as travel issues, the fight was postponed. Well, more recently, Diaz shared out a video of him hitting the bag and skipping rope. He also posted, 70 days, it's my way, teasing that the Luque fight has been rebooked for December 7th, as has been reported recently. Well, as noted, not everyone was impressed with what they say from Diaz in the video. Far from it. Here were some of the reactions the clip prompted via social media. Bro punches in slow motion. Love Nick Diaz. Time is definitely not on his side now though. He's getting old. I really hope he stays healthy and makes it to this fight in good shape. I remember him looking great leading up to his last fight, and then he showed looking like he just hopped off his couch due to an injury. He's 41, y'all. What are we expecting from a Nick Diaz fight in big old 2024? Man, why fight? Luque is washed, but Diaz will still get murdered. Bag looks like it's winning, to be honest. Now, it's possible that Diaz could have been hitting the bag after doing a massive amount of training, or that he was just taking it easy. But yeah, given Diaz is now 41 years old, and how he looked in his 2021 loss to Robbie Lawler, it's not surprising to see fans expressing concerns. But what do you think? Will Diaz return to the win column at UFC 310? Marc Goddard cried after reffing a UFC fight. Marc Goddard has long been regarded as one of the best and toughest referees in mixed martial arts, but recently the English ref opened up about how he was brought to tears after he officiated the epic fight between Kelvin Gastelum and Israel Adesanya in 2019. Now, if you've never seen the Adesanya-Gastelum fight, you've got some very, very important homework to do. The two went to war at UFC 236, and about that was for the interim middleweight crown. Adesanya won the instant classic via unanimous decision. Well, more recently, Goddard appeared on the Talk Sports Uncaged podcast, and while reflecting on the Adesanya-Gastelum scrap, the renowned referee reported this.
But honestly, mate, that fight, when you got two fighters they went into the deepest, darkest depths of their soul, and they went into the deepest, darkest waters imaginable or possible in a fight. And I was right alongside them, standing 3 foot away, witnessing this unfold. And I remember that. If you go back and you watch that last 10 seconds of the fight, and Rogan's going, stop it. And in my head, I'm going, no, you know what I mean? Because I know. And there could have been a point, because even if 1 second left, but Kelvin Gastelum, when he took it just a little, because Izzy had him on the depths of despair in that final round. That's the deepest, darkest point I've ever seen a fighter go to and allowed to finish that round. And you watch the fight when it finishes, I run off straight away. As soon as I know they're safe, I run off with my head in my hands. And I won't be ashamed to say I've cried after that fight, watching it back, because it was ungodly what those guys did. It was ungodly.
Goddard's comments caught the attention of Gastelum, who proceeded to heap praise on the official. Hands down, the best in the game, by a landslide. And Sportsnet's Aaron Bronstetter proceeded to relay that the Adesanya-Gastelum fight was one of the best scraps ever. Top 3 fight of all time, was so good that it made Poirier v Holloway 2 feel like a pedestrian fight, even though it's also an incredible fight. And other fans also weighed in on the discussion with this. Watching live, so much emotion and drama came from Izzy Kelvin that it somehow overshadowed Max Poirier in the main event, despite Max Poirier being higher level with tons of drama as well. I wonder if he carries guilt from not stopping that fight in a 5th to this day. Seems to be really trigger happy with stoppages now. Do you have the 2019 battle in your top 5 for best ever fights? Up next, UFC Updates. The UFC has added an interesting welterweight fight to the promotion's November 9th card, as Marcel Dorf's reporting that Nicolas Dalby will battle Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos. It's a compelling bout on paper, but it's also really interesting since the two threw hands back in 2015, and the fight was both men's octagon debut. Dalby won that fight via split decision. Dorf is also reporting that due to the withdrawal of Waldo Cortez Acosta, Chris Barnett will now take on Junior Tafa at the UFC's October 12th Vegas card. And while Jorge Masvidal doesn't have his return fight booked just yet, Gamebred is reporting that his comeback fight should be announced soon. While talking to MMA Junkie recently, Masvidal said, "Good news, good stuff with them right now, my brothers. Good stuff coming, news very soon. There's a lot of options on the freaking table, we haven't narrowed down a specific one yet, kind of waiting for a couple of things to go here and fall there. Then I'm supposed to get big word, brother, big word, big news. I'll tell you now, it'd be the biggest news of the year probably." So it'll be interesting to see who the opponent is, given Masvidal's comments about it being big news. Could it be Leon Edwards, whom Gamebred has feuded with ever since the now famous 3-piece in a soda incident? What's next for Nassourdine Imavov after UFC Paris win? Early on, it looked like Brandon Allen might cruise to his 8th straight victory and very likely a shot at the middleweight crown. But Nassourdine Imavov rallied back in rounds 2 and 3 to thrill the Paris crowd with a decision win. Allen took Imavov down not long into the bout and controlled the action from above for most of round 1, but in rounds 2 and 3, Imavov squashed multiple takedown attempts from Allen and won many of the striking exchanges. So what could be next for Imavov? Well, following his win, the 29-year-old called for a title shot. Will he get it? Heading into today's card, Imavov was ranked number 4 and he was riding a 3-fight undefeated streak. His last loss was to former champ Sean Strickland in 2023, but before the UFC commits to giving Imavov a title shot, a lot has to fall into place for the Dagestan-born fighter. Robert Whittaker and Khamzat Chimaev are set to fight at UFC 309 next month, and the consensus is Strickland will battle the current champion Dricus du Plessis next. That aside, it'll be interesting to see what Allen says about his performance. Following the weigh-ins, he accused French officials of being corrupt as he was apparently forced to submit to a drug test, while Imavov and Renato Moicano were apparently not.
Just so everyone knows, France has the most corrupt way of dealing with fighters ever in the whole world. over 40 fights, fought outside the country, in the country, different states, that state, made weight, no problem. Then they're gonna tell me that I have to give blood or urine. First they said urine, I gotta give urine, right off the scale. So dehydrated, waited 3 hours, finally have to pee. Then they tell me I gotta give blood on top of that. So then I do the urine, they say they're gonna do blood, they do blood, they don't get enough. They try to tell me they need more, I said you're not gonna stick me again. Then they wanna do a different type of blood, so they did that too. That didn't work, so then they thought about doing another one, and then they said no. So anyway, while my opponent gets to go upstairs and sleep after he makes weight, I have to stay down for what, 3.5 hours? Yeah, no main top guy of France had to do this. So just me and Moicano had to do this. The two most important fights on the card, and the two Frenchmen didn't get to have anything. They just get to go to their room, sleep, chill, eat, do everything they want to do. While, 3.5 hours later, I was downstairs at 8:30, made weight last night, easy. This place is.
Now, we should also note that during the UFC broadcast, Michael Bisping shot down any notion of a conspiracy theory and said sometimes athletic commissions do make fighters take post-weigh and drug tests. But what do you think? All that aside, if today's loss wasn't bad enough for Allen, following the fight, the champion Dricus du Plessis took the opportunity to take another dig at the contender, saying, "Tough luck, Brendan Allen. JK, you suck, loser." Allen then responded to DDP, saying, "Says the one been dunking me since getting in. We don't all get the easy route. Wasn't my night tonight. Still F you up." Marvin Vettori also called out Brendan Allen on Twitter, writing, "I need a comeback fight with this bum Allen. Two-handed, he doesn't go past 2 rounds. Then Imavov, Borralho, or even Strickland can get it too." Now let's look at Sean Strickland goes off on David Goggins. If you close the book on Sean Strickland feuding with motivational speaker, celebrity trainer, and ex-Navy SEAL David Goggins, you need to reopen it. If you follow Strickland, you know earlier this year he traded verbal shots with Goggins, especially after he made it easy work of an ex-Navy SEAL in sparring. Strickland also claimed that the motivational speaker couldn't make it through a sparring session with him. Goggins agreed to the challenge, provided that Strickland agreed to complete one of Goggins' renowned and grueling workout sessions. Well, we hadn't heard much about this beef recently, but all that changed when Strickland spoke with the Schmo a few days ago. "I will break your effing face, dude. I will injure your little bro. I'll effing F you up so bad. You'll think you're back in Afghanistan, son. You don't want a piece of this. You better stay your ass on the effing running. I do a man's game. I'm not running like a little woman." There you have it. Could we see Goggins head over to Extreme Couture for a sparring session with Strickland? Do you think Strickland could still agree to Goggins' proposal? Well, it looks like Khabib has leaked Islam Makhachev's next UFC fight, when in an interview, Khabib said the following: "UFC offered us a fight in January. We accepted it. UFC will make the announcement soon, including where it will take place and who Islam's opponent will be. I won't say anything about it myself, but I can say that we're focused on January." From the sounds of things, it looks like Islam will be fighting in January, and the opponent will likely be Arman Tsarukyan. It'll be interesting to see Islam coming back from his hand injury. Do you think it will affect him in his next fight? Let us know down in the comment section. Renato Moicano breaks silence on his UFC injury. After UFC Paris, it was revealed that Moicano had severely damaged his shoulder, according to Kevin Iola. After the fight, he took to social media to break silence on the injury, saying, "I hurt my shoulder 3 weeks ago, but I couldn't pull out of a main event. Thank you to my team for helping me train like that, to get me ready for the fight." Matt Brown reacted to the news saying, "Bro, this is insane. I tore my AC joint once. That was the most painful injury I've ever had. Respect."